Hi, my name is Ada Wells, owner of ProBalance, and welcome to the ProBalance PT channel. And on today's segment, what I wanted to do is talk to you about breath and some nice ways to work and utilizing breathing as a way to find your core muscles. First of all, when we talk about the core, let's establish what the core is. Essentially, it's going to be your deep abdominal muscles, which if we were to take your abdominal wall, we have your six-pack. All right, we're going to throw those guys out. Those are primary movers. They're not necessarily primary stabilizers. You then have your external and your internal obliques, which kind of crisscross in there. And those do have a stabilizing component, but for right now, we're going to remove those as well. So then if we were to look at the deepest layer, that's what's called your transversus abdominis. And those muscles go all the way from basically your xiphoid process, which is right below your ribs here, all the way to your pubic bone. And they're going to go in a transverse direction, which hence the name. And those are going to have a relationship with our spine and some of the deep muscles of the spine called the multifidi and the rotators. And those are very sort of deep muscles that basically go segment to segment, and those will control a lot of the small postural adjustments that have to occur at each individual segment of the spine. So when you go to do a movement, you want each of those little small those small muscles to be able to kick in, so that way you have distribution of forces through your spine. Then when we talk about the last portions of our core, we want to talk about the pelvic floor and the diaphragm. And the diaphragm is basically your big breathing muscle, but the pelvic floor and the diaphragm work together, and that basically, those two in conjunction will help to facilitate what the transversus and the multifidi do. So that's why a lot of times we'll use breath as a tool to be able to learn how to engage those muscles. So I'm going to just show you a quick little exercise I give to a lot of my people the first time they come in, to sort of figure out where some of those deep muscles are. So if you were to take a band, and you don't even need a band, you can sometimes just take your hands, but I'm going to use the band because it's a little easier sometimes to visualize. And we're going to wrap the band around the lower part of the ribs. And I'm just going to hold them here. And I have a little bit of a stretch on the band, okay? And from here, sometimes too, when you're sitting in a chair, if you sit with a little bit of a wider straddle position, it makes it a little bit easier to feel the pelvic floor, but I'm okay if you want to sit with the feet together. Either way is fine. Okay? And then we're going to sit up tall. So once again, we're watching that we're not shearing the ribs forward. We're sitting tall but not arched. All right, if that makes sense. Okay, and from here, let's just experiment with some breath. So I'm going to have you inhale, thinking about inhaling through these lower ribs so that you can make the band expand. And then just exhale, let it go. And feel how the band just kind of comes back together. So let's do that again. We're going to inhale to widen, and exhale, just let it go. Good. So now if I were to give the cue to funnel the ribs into the pelvis, let's do that breath again. Inhale to widen the ribs. Exhale to funnel the pelvis, ribs in the pelvis. You'll really feel the band come together. And when we do that, we're utilizing some of our oblique muscles and some of those deep muscles. But I'm going to give a different cue this time. This time I'm going to have you inhale to widen the ribs, but as you exhale, I want you to maintain that width of the ribs, or in this case, we're going to try to stretch this band, and when you exhale, try to keep the stretch in the band, and I want you to feel the difference. So let's try it. So you've got your little bit of tension here. We're going to inhale wide, exhale, keep it wide. Wide as you can, wide as you can, wide as you can. Good, and then relax there a minute. Let's do that again. You're going to inhale to widen the band. Exhale, keep it wide. And I want you to notice the difference of what you felt. If you do this without a band, like I said, you can go ahead and place your hands at your sides. Inhale to widen your ribs against your hands. Exhale, keep them wide. And you should have that same sensation. So the difference there is what you should feel is that when you do that, you should feel your abdominal wall kind of contract. So that's the work of the transversus, coming in and creating that pressure, or that little cylindrical, we call it the hydraulic amplifier, so it creates that pressure to support the trunk. But also you should have felt your pelvic floor come in as you worked with that breath. So it's a really nice way to work on pelvic floor, which is a very important assister of stabilization in the spine and the pelvis, whether you're female or male. And like I said, that's going to form the basis of doing some of the other exercises you do. So it's not that you're going to walk around trying to keep, inhale, keep the ribs wide the whole time, but just have a sense that if you have some back pain and you're having a hard time trying to find where these muscles are, sometimes just using a little bit of breath can help you regain the sensation there, and then it makes it easier to be able to perform other exercises. Okay, so with that, Practice your breathing, take lots of breaths, we need it, and we'll see you next time.